I think what's more important, Steve, is that to recognize that in over 100 years of Hollywood and the Indian film industry, this would be the first film ever that hits mainstream theatrical release worldwide.
Hey everyone, it's Steve Weintraub with Collider, and I'm here at Comic-Con 2026 with people that I've interviewed before. And I guess I'm going to say, how has it been in the last month or two since I've seen you?
Yeah, so it's been crazy busy since we met at CinemaCon. It's we had a trailer that had just come out then, and now we have our main unit of the film launching next week. And we had a little preview of that at the Comic-Con panel, which I think went really well. And it's our first one here, so exciting to see how things go from here.
We've been very busy. I and Ranbir have been shooting part 2 also.
Are you guys, you've finished?
Not finished, but we are getting there.
Got it.
So,
Okay.
doing the post of part 1, doing the shoot of part 2. Can't get busier than that.
I've been doing something with actors that have been coming in our studio. If you'll indulge me, it's basically like get to know the cast member. And so you do not worry, but I have 49 questions. You are not going to be asked all 49. Instead, you're just going to pick a number.
Okay.
And those are the questions you're going to get asked.
Okay.
And it's usually it goes pretty well, and fingers crossed it goes well with you.
Let's do 3.
What is the last concert you went to?
The last concert I attended was, I think, a Coldplay concert in Copenhagen.
I tried getting tickets, and you bought the last 2.
I did.
I'm joking. Was the show amazing?
It was amazing. It was my 3rd time that I saw them. A big fan. Yeah, so it was amazing.
Do you sing along at the show, or?
Of course, you sing along, and I think the way they have really constructed the concert, with the bands which light up, it's such a celebration. Like you really feel really immersed in their music and their performance.
Please pick one other number.
8.
If you could have a song play when you enter a room, what song would it be?
I'll go with the easy one, Eye of the Tiger from Rocky. Yeah, that really pumps people up.
Thank you for indulging me. So one of the big piece of news that I recently heard is that Sony picked up the movie outside of India. So as the producer, talk a little bit about how you worked out that deal with Sony. Was it something that was complicated? Had you been working on it for a while? How did it come together?
I think it's fair to say it's especially when you're doing your first film at this scale, it's never easy. It's not meant to be easy. So like all such deals in the movie business, this was incredibly, hard to sort of pin it down and get it through, but I'm glad that we got there. I think what's more important, Steve, is that to recognize that in over 100 years of Hollywood and the Indian film industry, this would be the first film ever that hits mainstream theatrical release worldwide by a Hollywood studio and an Indian movie coming together. So for me, that's a big win, bigger than probably anything else we've done in the last few years, to sort of see how we're going to bring the Ramayana now to the sort of mainstream of the world, like everything else.
It's really hard to believe that this is the first time. And I just want to say congratulations.
Thank you.
Because it's amazing, and it should have happened sooner.
No doubt. I think there's been such a great, sort of talent pool back in India that has made some really classic and terrific films. In fact, Nitesh made a film that did incredibly well in China called Dangal, which is one of the highest grossing films of China and has been the highest grossing film of Indian cinema. But we've not really had Hollywood and India sort of come together to really unleash something that could be of this scale and for the people of the world.
So we are here at Comic-Con, as we've said many times, and I'm just curious, a lot of people here love to collect things. They love to buy comic books. They love to buy whatever it may be. And I'm curious, did the 3 of you have a chance to walk on the convention floor, or will you be able to go on the convention floor?
I think our marketing team is a bit of a slave driver. They've really not given us any time yet. But the interviews we've been doing, we've been getting free gifts, free collectibles. I see there are some behind, so I'm going to try and steal some after this interview also.
I've been eyeing some of the cool bags which people have been carrying.
Sure.
Really, really nice ones. In fact, I ended up asking one in the lift elevator yesterday, where did you get it from? And he said, you are getting it out there at the Comic Con. So I just wanted to collect them for my kids.
Do you recommend something that we can take back to India?
Well, I know it's going to be difficult for you to go walk around on the convention floor. What I would suggest is for you specifically, what many actors do who are well known is you put on a mask, or you just put something on that people don't realize it's you. And then the secret is not walking with a big security dude next to you with the mask on. So like if you just walked with a mask and like security was like behind you, not next to you, you would totally be anonymous. No one would bother you. You'd have a great time. But I really mean it. There is no Comic-Con like this one on the planet. And they have everything from the big corporate entities to independent dealers to you name it is on the floor. And it's like a cornucopia of just crazy and cool stuff. And I really think if you have the time, and I know I've rambled, but like you should really walk the floor if you can. It's really, really worth your time, you know? And you get the bag for free when you check in.
Yeah.
Like the big bag, you know, like you just go upstairs and they'll give you one. I promise.
Yes.
You know, is there anything, because as I said, people here collect stuff. Is there anything that you actually like collect? I mean, maybe you get fancy movie posters or like, is there anything that you actually collect?
I collect posters. I would love to get some like a Comic-Con t-shirt or a cap, you know, just to kind of have this memory for lifetime, because it's kind of surreal that, you know, I've always been on the other side, the side of the fans, looking up to all the, you know, the people who come to Comic-Con. I've been watching Comic-Con ever since I can remember. And the fact that now we are on the other side, you know, presenting our film, it's quite surreal. So just to, you know, have this memory etched forever should take some, like a cap or a t-shirt.
So I'm curious, why was it important for you guys to sort of pause being in India and to come here? And how much like did you debate, do we want to go to Comic-Con in San Diego? Like, why was it important that this is a place you guys wanted to be here to promote?
I think, you know, it's fair to say that Ramayana, you know, by itself, by its own nature, has probably the largest following of, I don't want to call them fans, because they are believers in the Ramayana that sort of exist on one side of the world. And, you know, this being the largest fan platform, again, in the world, it felt like we must bring Ramayana to the people who really sort of believe in it, you know, indulge in it and really celebrate it. Once they understand what it is, they can celebrate it. And I thought Ramayana being something that's been there for thousands of years and has this massive following, how cool would it be to introduce something that has that much history to a brand new fan audience in the world that sort of samples something for the first time? So that I thought was an interesting place to bring the Ramayana specifically to Comic-Con.
So I'm definitely curious, where are you in the edit for part 1? How is it going? Like, how close are you to being done?
We are sorted. Our edit is locked way back. At the moment, we are busy giving finishing touches to our VFX work, which is a very, very daunting task. If you see the film, you'll realize how much hard work has gone in terms of purely just getting the VFX in place.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is you might finish the principal photography and you might finish the edit, but you're going to be working on those VFX shots till they take the movie away from you.
Some of the VFX sequences have taken 2.5, 3 years.
This is exactly what I mean. So where are you in the VFX chain in relation to like where you thought you'd be and what ended up being maybe more challenging than you expected? Because you're doing like this massive 2-part movie, you know, and there's so many moving pieces.
Yeah, so I think, you know, VFX ultimately has become the glue that sort of sticks everything together. So things that you may encounter in cinematography, production design, or in any particular department, or just by virtue of, you know, creating the spectacle in of itself, visual effects is the sort of answer to a lot of that. So we're obviously in a good place overall. That being said, it's the hardest project that DNEG has ever done. You know, we have won a few Oscars and we have worked with some of the most prestigious and challenging projects in the world. But it's fair to say that Ramayana sort of really scales up beyond all of those in terms of complexity and scale. So it's the teams are all on it, and I think we feel good about getting there. I'd love to show you the trailer soon enough, and love to see how you feel about that.
I definitely would like to see all the footage that you showed here, and when camera stops rolling, we will watch that, at least if I can.
Steve, there's also a new phenomenon right now that I think in the last few years, there's been such a large number of people online who've become like CG critics. They see a trailer and they're always critiquing it's not good enough. It's like it's seeming like it's not done. So I feel like people are getting more aware, especially with the influx of AI. People are getting more interested in how good the CG is, how good the CG will finally look, once the film releases. And I think that's quite it's quite funny sometimes, because people who don't know how CG is done, people think like someone's just used some AI and released something. There's countless hours of work where artists are working for years. I've seen Nitesh and Namit sitting on VFX calls ever since this project started, trying to get even a certain color of the sky right. So I think it's tricky right now, really to impress the audience with authentic CG.
Well, I also think that a lot of people, and this is just what I've noticed, there's a lot of fucking negative people online. And I'll use myself as an example. I have read comments that say I'm an amazing interviewer. I'm really great at my job. I've also read the same comments that say I am the worst interviewer that's ever done it. And so, like, how do you react to that? And the way I react is I basically ignore all of it. You know what I mean? And I think that for movies and for shows, personally, you should judge the finished film. And like, that's it. Like when you go to see the movie, if you loved it, great. If you didn't love it, that's whatever. But like, you can't judge marketing. You need to judge the thing that's finally done.
Sure. Exactly. And I think, what's also very important to sort of raise is, and we had that, recently when we, launched our previous teaser, we heard a fair amount of, noise around some aspects of what we had done. And the same people that when you showed to them on a big IMAX screen in 3D, all of those conversations change because they're also judging stuff on their phone. They're judging stuff in not the great condition. So here we are spending years and millions of dollars, to try and make something for that big screen experience that we are waiting patiently to bring it to you. And then you judge it on a phone or a not a great internet connection, and you're just like, oh, that's not good enough. And only to be told when you see it on the big screen that it's meant to be consumed on, that it's actually beautiful. So we've had a lot of that noise also that's sort of happening, and we are doing what we can, at least to a large number of creators and influencers, to sort of educate them about, like, listen, just at least try and give it a fair appraisal of what it is supposed to be.
If I could say something, like, think about watching, Chris Nolan just released The Odyssey. And when you see The Odyssey in IMAX on 70 millimeter, or just in IMAX, it is a spectacle. It is like, it's like, it's just amazing. If you watch that same sequence on your phone, the movie on your phone, it is not that movie. Do you know what I mean?
And that's the beauty about what we're saying. I haven't seen the 70 millimeter version because, we don't have 70 millimeters in India, but I will watch it soon next week. But we know for a fact, because we have collaborated with Chris on all his films, that what you see in that theatrical experience, visually and in terms of audio, is completely unique to what you'd watch it on any digital device. And that sort of exactly proves the point that come judge it there, and if you don't like it, that's fair play. That's
100%.
That's how it's supposed to be.
But Namit, isn't that a dichotomy today? Because most of the people are consuming on their phones or on a computer screen. So what's the way forward?
I think you're judging the technical finesse on a display that's not giving you the accurate representation of what you're actually watching. So the issue is not about whether you should consume it only on the big screen. That's not what we're saying. We're saying consume it where you like. But if you have a point of view, like when everybody wants to be a critic on visual effects or sound, you've not heard the right sound, you've not watched the right visual, and you're making a comment on something that's, to me, just unfortunately inaccurate.
Also, something else, if I could defend, sometimes with the marketing and with the trailer, like the footage, like you're doing CG shots for the trailer, and like it's just getting done for the trailer. Like it's not, you know what I mean? Like the final movie is the final movie.
Oh, that's for sure. I think there's no doubt that when we put marketing 6, 8, 9 months before the release, clearly the film is in production or post. The film is not ready.
100%.
If it was ready, we would not wait 9 months to release it. That's it's always hard to make people understand that. Why is that not as good as it should have been? I'm like, yeah, because it's still in the works.
The sad reality is that if somebody is hell-bent on nitpicking, your biggest effort will be ignored and your smallest mistake will be amplified. That's what happens.
I definitely have to ask you, when do you wrap? I know I got to wrap this interview, but like, when do you finish shooting part 2? How much more do you have?
We have all our war sections remaining of part 2. Most of the drama bit is done. I think we are going to give it a break for the time being because we need to focus completely, wholeheartedly on finishing the post of part 1, which would need much more attention than it was needing a few months back. But I guess we have done prevising and we just need to execute those things. So I think we are pretty well placed in terms of our timeline, but I think it'll happen only after we finish part 1.
I think it's also the first time, at least in Indian cinema, where we're nearly going to complete 80% of a sequel before the first part releases. I don't think that's ever happened in the movies that's made in my country.
Most people don't actually make the sequel in the first one's made.
Yeah. So I think that's a little bit of a risk that the producer is taking, but it's worth the risk.
This is my last question. I know the Toronto Film Festival is coming up, obviously, in September. Are you guys planning on doing anything there?
I think the marketing guys are, now that Sony's on board, I'm sure that they'll be thinking about the strategy going forward to a large extent. So let's see what they come up with. This is very, very fresh and new. We haven't even sat and gone through the details of the plan running up to the release.
I have a question for you. Since you do all of this, how much of marketing is enough?
Well, okay, that's a huge question. And I think the thing to realize is that most cinephiles who are online all the time and who really are paying attention, like, they will see the marketing. But the problem is, like, this person in Lincoln, Nebraska, who doesn't pay attention to marketing, you sort of have to hit them more than once. You need to make, like, how do we get this in front of you to have you watch it? People that are just not thinking about movies all the time. And that's the tricky part, is how do we reach those people who are not online 24/7? It's the balance. And the other problem is, if you show too much in the trailers, then the diehard fans are going to be like, well, why? I've watched the movie. You know what I mean? But if you don't show enough, then you're not going to reach the people like all the people. So how do you find that balance? I'm sure you're debating that right now.
Yeah, that's always a question.
So listen, I got to stop. I'm just going to say, I'm so happy you came in, and I really just can't wait to see the film when it's done, and also to watch it in IMAX.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Everyone stay tuned for more interviews on Collider.